Today on Skyrider Limited, we're talking about packing up kites. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to Skyrider Limited. I am Jesse. Welcome back to an episode of Minimum Equipment List, the series that I don't make that often because I kind of do it when I have bursts of ideas, and sometimes I don't have ideas. Today we're talking about packing kites. That is for both travel and storage. And as a result, you join me in my storage unit, where I keep some of my stuff because the basement got full. I have a problem. I don't have a problem. I might have a problem. Any rate, so let's talk about packing kites up for storage first, because again, we're in a storage room. Um, so it depends on the kite, but the first thing that you always want to do is make sure that your kite has a bag if you can. Um, Effectively, if you just kind of throw it in a corner, you might lose stuff, and losing stuff is bad, especially if it's an older kite and you have to find the parts and measurements for the parts and all that stuff. Once we get past that, the question really becomes how long are we storing it? For me, I take stuff out pretty frequently, so I try to detension my wingtips on dual line kites, because you'd be amazed how much energy bungee and carbon can create to stretch a sail out in storage. But I don't generally break down my leading edges all the way, unless I'm traveling, which we'll get to in a minute, because that fold can sort of over time wear the fabric out. So you can see there's lots of dual line kites around me over there and over there, and all those bags are at full length. And again, that's just, to keep creasing of leading edge material to a minimum. But as you can probably tell, I like roll up bags, mostly roll up bags around here. There are some other older bags around. But bag preferences are up to you. There's lots of great bags out there. You can also, make your own, and there's some good patterns out there for bags. But the type of bag you use is personal preference. I know a lot of people are anti-roll bag. I think as long as you get some good mesh in it, it's a great way to do it. It's very organized. I can see everything in my bag when I open it. I don't have to rummage through to find things. So now we're on to then the next part of packing kites, and that's packing for travel. So one other thing before we get into packing kites for travel is, whenever possible, store your kites in a climate controlled environment, particularly if you live in a very humid place. I am lucky in that this storage unit is pretty well insulated, so I don't have any issues with mildewing or anything like that. But if you have a particularly damp basement or something, kite fabric, particularly older nylon sails, will mildew, and it's tough to get it off. Both the smell and the actual grime on the sails. But talking for travel, so believe it or not, obviously whenever you can, like whenever I can, I drive. Just means I don't have to pack kites up as much. It's easier. But if I do have to fly, and I do a lot, particularly longer trips with shorter turnarounds between having to be at work, or, for example, I'm headed over to the UK this September. Obviously, those involve an airplane. Those are going to require me to take kites and pack them down. So, first question, obviously, is can you carry kites on? And the answer is most of the time, yes. Perfectly legal to carry kites on with TSA in the US, but always check your local laws and regulations, and of course your airline policies. Kite bags are going to push the limit of a carry-on size, things like that. If you're on a smaller airplane, you may run into trouble with that, so be aware that that can come up. If you are going to carry on, make sure that you fold your dual line kites down to as small as they get, half length leading edges, things like that. Effectively, quads are good to go. Dual lines usually need to be folded. If you are taking quads, you may run into some trouble with quad handles. They are above the metal tool length limit for most people, especially as the trend to longer handles has taken over. So you'll again want to consult your, local authority regulations, etc. Again, in the US and TSA, I have explained my way through with them in the past. So it can be done. ground stakes are pretty much always a no. So if you're bringing an anchor with you, that's pretty much always a checked item. Um, so just be aware of all of that. If you're bringing kites with lights, remember that batteries are a carry-on item. They lithium-ion batteries have to be carried on. They cannot be checked. So just keep that in mind. At least again in the U.S. So, what do I pack my kites in to travel? Well, I've used a couple of different things over the years. I've used a couple of different kite surfing bags. I think that was a Brett Marshall video I caught that he was using padded kite surfing bags, and that works really good. You can run into some weight issues if you're trying to pack like two roll bags worth of kites and some clothing and stuff. I know I did. I blew through the overweight limit pretty quickly doing that. I also had like a banner in there and stuff like that. So it adds up fast. But I'm going to go grab the thing that I've used the most over the years and show you my kite tube. So this is it. This is a hard tube. I think they were originally meant for water skis. It was sold, at least according to the stamp on the side, by a company called Colors in Motion. We've had it for, my God, the late 90s. This tube has been all over the U.S., France, Asia. Went to Taiwan with us for the Taipei Festival in 2001. It's been everywhere. Real sturdy. The only issue I run into it these days is it is from before TSA locks. So there is a keyed lock on this side with that latch, and it does confuse folks from time to time, and I get called back out of security to go explain myself and explain the tube. It is getting a little beat up and everything, so at this point I'm actually getting ready to replace it. I'm going to go to the much more common site in international kite travel these days, which is a product called a sport tube. That is the name of the product, and they make them in series 1, 2, and 3, and those are different sizes, and those are ski tubes, snow ski tubes. The 3 is pretty comparable in size to this bad Larry. It does pack smaller, so if you're traveling again with quad line kites, it'll get pretty much down to the size of like Rev 1 length sticks, so like 35 inches. Nice thing about it though is it will also go long enough that you don't have to break down leading edges if you don't want to. Which is handy for if you fly like level 1 kites with one piece leading edges, for example. They're a couple $100, but they're super, super solid and reliable. And I know folks that have got thousands of flyer miles on their sport tubes. So those are, pretty much the go-to option. I know some brave souls that have checked like Prism roll-up bags unpadded. It is pretty hard to break kites in a roll-up bag. But it can be done, and never underestimate the willfulness of a bag loader who's stopped caring about life, to figure out a way to break something. Mostly that's going to be crushing damage, which, again, if you can avoid it, put it in a hard case. Also, a lot of the airlines, if you don't pack it in something hard, are going to fight you for, insurance claims after the fact. So just keep that in mind as well. So that's about the long and short of that. Always, again, check your local regulations, your airline regulations and rules, for the carrier you're traveling, because, weight and cost will vary. As far as like checking it, and when they ask you what's in the tube, say kites for the most part. I only get charged about half the time. Most of the time they don't know what to do with kites, so they'll just cool and let me go. Not everybody. For a while I used to say trade show equipment, because again they have no idea what to do with that. And so they just charge us like an oversized bag, which was cheaper than like specialty equipment. So just tricks of the trade and things to be aware of. And like I said, I hope that helps you, traveling with your framed kites. Obviously, soft kites, big stuffed sack kites are going to be a little different, and your mileage may vary with all of this. But yeah, I hope this helped you guys out, and I'll put some links to like Sport Tube and stuff in the description. And as always, thank you guys, and we'll see you out there, Skyrider.